Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. Over this cycle, I've talked a lot about why I believe we're going to see more retail money coming into this bull run than ever before, and through seeing all of this retail adoption, the prices of cryptos are surely to skyrocket in the process. During this entire move, I firmly believe that there's one narrative that stands leaps and bounds above the rest of the crowd when it comes to a narrative that's actually going to gain retail support. I don't think that there's anything better than this, so we're going to be breaking it down, talking about how we can be positioned early, and then breaking down 3 different altcoins inside of this narrative that I think could see some of the most upside potential long term. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right to this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, now as we're getting into today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about some points that I made in some of my prior videos because some of you guys had been asking me questions, didn't quite understand what I was talking about. So when we're talking about retail, what you have to understand is retail, when I say retail investors or retail money, anything like that, I'm just specifically talking about the average investor inside of the market, or the average investor that mainly comes into the market once the real price action hype comes in. So that's what we end up seeing every single bull run. We see nobody really caring about crypto, nobody doing anything, and then all of a sudden, once Bitcoin starts to get into new all-time highs, the masses, all of the public awareness comes into the market, everybody starts covering it on the news, and we see all of this new money come into the market. That new money that comes into the market is what I'm talking about when I say retail. And what we see with retail is more or less this emotional psychology that plays out inside of themselves, but then this plays out big picture inside of the price as well. We see these big picture market cycles where the prices skyrocket. We see the big crashes, right, where Bitcoin crashes 80% and altcoins go down 90% plus. And then we kind of go sideways for a while before starting that next bull run. And what we find interesting here is disbelief as we're first beginning the new bull run. People don't believe it's actually going to be taking off. They think it's a bear trap. They think it's just going to keep going lower long term. But then over here we see disbelief again. This rally will fail like all others. But we notice that this happens right before the beginning of this parabolic cycle. So this is the emotions that play out every single bull run. The retail investors will start buying and accumulating as the market's going up and things are going crazy. And then as things sell off, they're over leveraged, they're losing, they're getting liquidated, then they panic sell the bottom. And this is just the way the money works every single bull run. I've talked a lot about why I believe this is going to be the cycle we see more retail involvement than ever before, and it's really because we have narratives and we have on-ramps that we just didn't have in prior cycles. I think that this is going to be the one where all of these trends start to take off, and when this retail money comes in, when the masses start talking about it, when it's covered all over the news, the way it's going to end up working, in my opinion, is all centered around crypto gaming. So if we come over here and we look at CoinGecko, we're going to see that the total market cap of all crypto gaming is $13 billion. It is such an insignificant margin when we're factoring in every single altcoin in the market that is related to crypto gaming. And we see, if we scroll all the way down here, we've got, over 3 pages of different cryptos that are ultimately positioned inside of this market. And so if we're talking about how retail is going to come into crypto, in my opinion, it'll most likely be through gaming, because people my age are obsessed with games. They love to play games. Even people that are a little older than me. A lot of you guys that watch this channel, somewhere in that 28 to 35 range, and maybe even a little older than that, probably still play games. They're really popular today. And I think that crypto gaming is going to be an epicenter of this cycle, because through the first time ever, we have ways to be able to earn yield on video game tokens in these games and actually profit off of them. And so whenever you have some kid that starts playing this game, he stakes this NFT or whatever and starts earning these tokens that end up actually going up a lot in value long term, he's going to tell all of his friends, they're going to go play the game, they can mint these NFTs that are skins on their characters, and then they get even more attached to all of this stuff. But all of this has their own economies, right? They have their own marketplaces for the NFTs, for the tokens. They have their own platforms and blockchains for all of this. They have their own gaming developing studios that are programming and building all of these games. So you have a lot of money into this, but the difference is there isn't that much money into it big picture. If we're talking some of these things actually gaining adoption big picture, this thing's going to most likely be in the hundreds of billions in total market cap. And so when we're talking about these, there's a few coins that I really like that I think could actually be some of the bigger winners inside of this cycle. So for the rest of this video, let's actually break those down, talk a little bit more about why I think that these could perform so well long term. So the first one we're going to be talking about today is Vulcan Forged, and this is one we've been talking about quite a bit. I started talking about this one all the way over in here when we were still consolidating in this bottom, and we just spent all of this time going sideways, about a year and a half, maybe more, before we finally broke out. Now long term, I still think that this is undervalued. I still think that even though it's broken out, you're not late by any stretch of the woods. All we're looking at right now is just the first move out of accumulation, and we're most likely going to end up coming up here or up here, big picture, which is $16 and $19.50. So I still think that it's going to be going up there, but I mean long term, guys, we're talking new all-time highs. And some of the reasons why I believe that these are going to be, or Vulcan Forge is going to be able to get so much more adoption and so much more retail adoption in this cycle, we're going to break down a little bit why I believe it's going to be valuable. Now in the last cycle, the reason I was able to make so much profit is because I invested into a lot of layer ones. Put a lot of money into Ethereum. I put money into Terra Luna. I put money into Solana. I invested money into Cardano. And then there was a few other ones that I can't really remember off the top of my head. But in that last cycle, that was a focus of mine because I understood that if any cryptos start building inside of this ecosystem, it's ultimately going to benefit the native chain. And so if any of these start blowing up, the native chain could end up doing really well in the process. And so that was really one of my focal points in that last bull run. And in this bull run, one of my big things is still focused in on some of these different, narratives or whatever, but one of my big narratives is going to be the gaming industry. And with gaming, I'm looking for projects that are entire ecosystems, almost like those layer ones, like how I was investing into Ethereum and Cardano and all these other ones, is because if you have a network that people use, it's going to grow and it's going to see some of the most adoption long term. So these are some of the tokens that end up seeing a lot of upside potential when a true bull market takes off. And so if we come over here and break it down a little bit, Elysium is basically their blockchain, right? This is their entire platform that it's built on, all of that fun stuff. And then if we come over here and look at Vulcan Studios, this is the gaming developing team that actually builds all of these games. We can come over here and look at the Metascapes. This is another thing that I think is really cool. These open world VR games, like these are going to blow up. There's no doubt. I watched one of my best investments actually in the last cycle was Decentraland. It did over 100x for me. And it was really centered inside of that VR sort of trend. And what we see inside of these, anything that's going to be able to capture a really cool sort of setup in VR, in my opinion, is going to see a lot of adoption. And this is just one aspect of this entire thing. I mean, there's a lot more going for them than just that. And then if we talk a little bit about the currencies inside of their ecosystem, you got PYR, which is this one here, and then you've also got Lava, which is their in-game currency, right? So when we're looking at all of these, we just want to keep in mind that the upside potential is a lot higher because not only do they have their own marketplace, not only do they have all of their own NFTs, they have their own metaverse, they have their own platform where new games can actually build in. So it's just a lot going for them, and that's kind of the main reason why I think it's going to do so well long term. If they get a lot of adoption, if a lot of people start wanting to build with them and work on games, you got to expect that they're just going to continue to fly. And with it just breaking out of this resistance level and flipping it as support, I think that the real bulk of the next moves are going to be pretty big, and it's going to be, this is like the last time that we have to buy it early, because I don't think that we're going to end up seeing it back below these levels by any means. Most likely we're going to continue to hold support above this long term. So watch out for PYR. Alrighty guys, so next up on today's list is going to be Magic or Treasure. Now this is going to be one of my favorite cryptos because this is basically the epicenter of gaming and all of that stuff happening in Arbitrum. And so I really think that this one's going to do well long term, and we're more or less at that point where we've already broken out of descending resistance. We flipped it as new support, and we're starting to see continuation from there. This is one that I ended up missing out initially. I had the chance to buy it all the way back down in here, and I thought it was going to go a little bit lower. I missed out, and it ended up running one of the hardest out of all of Arbitrum. The way the cycle looks, it looks like one of the more bullish sets. It looks like one of the more bullish setups inside of the Arbitrum network, and I think it's going to continue to do well big picture as well. Now, when we're coming over here and looking at it, another reason why I think it's so valuable, that they have so many different ways for value to come in. They have a lot of different ways to be building inside of there. They have their own ecosystem, basically their own NFT marketplace and all of those things. And I think that that's ultimately what is going to end up driving a lot of these when the money comes in. When you got to think, like, if OpenSea had their own token and they had an ability to be able to actually actually trade a token with all of the money coming into their platform and stuff. All of these that actually do, in my opinion, are just going to see insane upside because it's almost the same as playing the decentralized exchange market. It's just NFTs that they're trading instead of tokens. And it's the same thing. They're all tokens, but it's not like Ethereum that they're trading, right? So I just think that all of this stuff is going to benefit long term. If we come over here and actually look at their NFT marketplace, they've got games. These are all the games that you can play. In my opinion, this looks almost like the free games that we used to play online when I was a kid. The only difference is now they're all blockchain and you can almost like earn money playing them. I think that that's going to be the real thing that catches people by surprise, is just the fact that you can actually make money with these things in a lot of these NFT projects, especially just holding the NFTs and them going up in value. This is going to bring a lot of awareness big picture. And that's one of the things we see with a lot of these once the volume comes in. I mean, this has multiple value propositions. Like I said, they've got the NFT marketplace. All of these, when the money starts coming in, if they start generating a lot of revenue from this, that's ultimately going to benefit the entire network. There's NFT mints that you can go and participate in. I haven't done a lot of research into these to see if any of these have actually been very profitable. I bet once the real money starts rolling in, these are going to sell out quick, and if you get into any of them, they'll probably end up being pretty profitable long term. But regardless, guys, these are just things that we're talking big picture. If we're going to see all of this retail money come in, they're going to be at the epicenter of gaming and NFTs and all of that stuff. And so with these, just showing the early beginning stages of their cycle, all they've ever done, or all Magic has done, I should say, it's just done a one wave and then another one wave. So we have stacking one waves, and we're getting ready for a much bigger move that, in my opinion, is going to be taking us all the way up to the top of this lower high. So from where we're at today, you're looking at like almost 400%. Just to the prior all-time highs is still almost a 7x. And so when all of this money comes in here, I really think that Magic is going to benefit some of the most, because it's really got the hold on the entire gaming network inside of just Arbitrum. There's really not any big competitors inside of Arbitrum, and I think that already with the adoption we're seeing with the way the chart looks, this one's going to kind of continue to separate itself from the pack. So watch out for Magic. Now, last up on today's video is going to be UFO Gaming, and this is another one of those projects that I think can benefit long term. It's got quite a few backers, which makes me wonder if it could see a lot of adoption. But I mean, it's all kind of the same. All of these we're going to look at, a lot of play to earn, a lot of staking in game, a lot of in-game currencies, the ability to mint NFTs and then play the skins in the actual game itself. There's a lot of different things. They've got their own metaverse. Most of these are going to be the exact same. They've actually bought their own esports team. Once again, stake, earn, mint, all of that stuff. So I just think that once the money comes into these are going to be kind of more focal points inside of the market, just because the fact people are going to want to play the games. They're going to want to be able to earn interest and earn yield and be able to play to earn off of all of their NFTs that they actually get, to be able to actually make money off of them and all play them in game with their characters. I really think that retail is just going to absolutely eat that up. And when we look at some of the partners in this, it's got some of the bigger cryptos inside of the game that it's partnered with, some of the bigger exchanges. I just think that this is going to end up seeing more adoption long term, and it's only worth like $44 million in total market cap. So far, we had a decent run off of these lows. We ended up making a lower low. Some of these altcoins did do that, but with the move we're seeing to the upside tells me that we're most likely going to end up continuing up from here. I won't be surprised that if the market breaks up again, this will probably end up making another high. I don't know exactly how high it's going to go, but the way it looks is that we should see a correction in here fairly soon. I mean, it just doesn't seem realistic that it's just going to continue to go straight up, but it is possible that we can get kind of one more high in here before that correction sets in, because I would expect that we would probably end up coming back down and retesting probably around here just to kind of truly cement in that higher high to begin this trend. And we might even sit sideways kind of consolidating here before we do make that next leg up. But I think that the big part of the reversal is pretty much upon us with this most recent breakout. And the way that this looks on the all-time high scale, I mean, it could have a lot of upside potential. If we see this thing just back at the all-time high valuation of that last cycle, just that alone would be pretty decent. And this is after it's already gone up a decent amount. You could potentially buy a dip coming up that would put you in an even better buy opportunity long term. But if we're looking at this thing just to the all-time highs, it's almost a 30x. So that's kind of insane when I'm talking about all of these games. When I was sharing with you guys how there's only $13 billion total market cap, there's not very much money in these. And that's why I say that a lot of these can run really hard. PYR and Magic have almost the same market cap, all just under $200 million in total market cap. And so their upside potential is going to be a little bit smaller than maybe what UFO gaming can do. But at the same time, I also think that these two are better fundamentally than UFO gaming, and they have a little bit more going for them as far as having adoption long term. But I would actually be interested to hear what you guys think about the gaming economy and crypto. Do you have any projects you're watching, different cryptos, things like that? Drop them in the comments below. I would love to hear about that. But yeah, guys, these are going to be some of my favorites moving forward. I've talked a little bit about some of these. Magic, this is the first time I've talked about in quite a while. But I do hold positions in every single one of those, and I try to make videos about cryptos that I actually hold just to keep it relative. Sometimes there's going to be periods where I don't, but for the sake of this video, these are cryptos that I hold. So if you guys do want to actually see what I'm investing in long term, where I'm buying these, we posted the signal for this on my group a long time ago, all the way over in here. So we've already made quite a bit of money off of this move. So if you do want to actually get access to that, links are in the description to go ahead and sign up on my website. I'm actually doing a Black Friday sale for the next 4 days from here, so you guys can still get access to that if you want to. Links are in the description to go ahead and sign up at a 50% discount for any one of my courses. Or if you guys want to actually sign up for my signals and see what my investments are, how I'm trading the markets, that's 50% off as well. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for the support. I appreciate you. I love you guys, and I'm looking forward to watching these next higher highs come in, because I think the real fun part of the cycle is really just beginning. As we're seeing these altcoins just barely leaving accumulation, I honestly think that there's going to be a significant amount of upside over the rest of this year, and specifically going into the next couple years when the real fun of the cycle starts to set in. Anyways, thank you all so much, and with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.